All right, way to go, Mark. Do we have sound now? Oh, we have lots of sound. Okay. One person said they're bad at lip reading. That's awesome. Can we rewind like 3 minutes and 48 seconds and get this right? I'm sorry. When this uploads to YouTube, I will chop off the first 3 minutes because I'm an idiot. Okay, now that we got sound, let me redo the intro because, well, gee, I just got some practice in. All right, boiling it down to its essence, I want you to take better pictures with your smartphones. And it doesn't matter what type of device you own, whether it's a Google Pixel or it's an Android or it's an iPhone. They all can take pictures, but it comes down to how you use it. And I find that some people will just take a craptastic picture and share it on the web and expect help or expect compliments. Or, you know, their tank looks beautiful. Here, look at this blue picture. And all it is a screen of blue. And you can't see anything. And like, oh yeah, Facebook really compressed it and ruined it. No, because you can see weddings and you can see birthdays and you can see dogs, you can see kittens. Those all look perfect. But with our tanks, with our specific lighting, it affects the results of lighting. So what I wanted to do today was go ahead and do an actual demonstration. I've got my phone wired in and I'll be demonstrating on it because this is what I use. This is what I own. I own an iPhone. It's not a slam against anyone else. It's what I use. I've also got this webcam hooked up, which I know the lighting's not great. Let me see if I can fix that a little bit. Not really. This is 10K lighting on this side of the tank, and I wanted that intentionally left this way, so I set the light to stay on, and hopefully it won't change. I'll double check my phone really quick. Hang on a second. And then on the other side of the tank, I've got 20K mode happening. And that is so that way we can shoot under that lighting as well. Okay, yes. Nothing's going to change on the lighting of the tank. Good. All right. So the point is, please stand by. The heck. Apologize for that. Suddenly iTunes opened up. That was crazy. All right. Okay. Before I jump into this, I've had a few people ask some questions. I'm going to hit them really quick. How did the cleanup go? The cleanup has gone really well. I tested Minion yesterday. I'll go into that near the end of this stream. Mike B, thanks for being here on time. And John L asked, did I paint my living room yellow? It's been mustard yellow for a very long time. And the wall over there is pepper, chili pepper red. I like bright colors. I always have. Okay. The iPhone I'm using is the iPhone X. But everything that you've been watching on YouTube from my channel for the last 2.5 years has been on the 6, the 6 Plus, the 7 Plus, and now the X. You have been getting constant iPhone videography and photography. So when it comes down to devices, like I said, it really doesn't matter a lot. So I want to talk about gels, and I have, these different colors in here. There's actually a pack that I bought from a fish store in Seattle. And there are a whole bunch of different colors in here that you can see. Maybe I'll turn it around so you can see a little bit better since it faces you. So there's all different colors, and there's a reason for that. Let me show you really quick the results. We're going to switch lenses here to this one. And you're looking at the tank with just the way the webcam looks. Now if I hold this gel in front, we've cut out some of that particular spectrum, which it sucked out a lot of the blue from the 10K lighting. But that's a really dark gel. Now we're going to try one that's more orange. Looks about the same. Apparently this webcam doesn't care what I use. But your phone will, I guarantee you. It has a far more up-to-date camera in it. But point is that by using the different colors, using a different gel color, because there's different spectrums. How do I show this to you? Because we're in a dark background. It doesn't help you really. You need white. Okay, there's some white skin back there. When you have the different colors, you can keep trying different ones until you find one that works best for that application. And you may discover that certain colors look better on your tank today, and you'll want a different gel for a different day. There's a guy by the name of Mark Short on Facebook. He sells these things. It's a $5 kit. Who knows? At some point, maybe I'll put them available on my website as well, because I think everyone should own them. Matter of fact, I was suggesting to Macna this year that they give everyone, or encourage, I don't know, make you buy. Everyone should buy a package of gels to keep in your pocket near your phone, so when you're near an aquarium, you can get a shot. Okay. So let me jump into my phone here, because I want to show you specifics. Now, I want to talk about one thing that's really important that will not show up in this demo, so I'm going to say it 2 times. When you shoot anything with your phone, you need to shoot in horizontal mode, all right? Horizontal mode. And the problem is that everyone wants to hold their phone like this when they film. Do not film vertical. Because number one, if you're trying to share it on the web, it's going to be a skinny sliver, and we can't see it, and we can't zoom in. If we happen to open it up on our device, we might be able to stretch it open. But for the most part, always turn your phone sideways like you're holding a regular camera that you're taking pictures with. Number 1 rule. And the reason I say that is because this is how it's going to display on your screen. And I want you to understand my phone is actually going to be in horizontal mode when I'm doing this, but you're going to see it in vertical mode. And I wish there was a way for me to change it, but I can't figure out a way to do it in this software, so we're kind of stuck. Now, here is my phone. I'm in camera mode, and I'm not going to give you a tour how to use the iPhone. I think that would be crazy because people have had them for many years now. If you don't know how to select things inside your phone, then I would suggest that you just go ahead and switch, go to a YouTube channel and learn how to use the iPhone. Go to the Apple website and learn how to use it. But let's talk about taking pictures, because that's why we're here, and that's what matters. Now, as you can see, when I'm framing this shot, I'm using a square mode, so it doesn't matter if I'm sideways or if I'm right side up, it's going to be a perfect square. But when you're shooting in a rectangular mode, see, it won't pivot right for you guys. I'm going to have to do everything vertical just for this demo, but that is never how I shoot, and I want you to understand that, all right? So I'm apologizing in advance. Now, let's take an example. We're going to do the anemone. And this is under 10K lighting. And as you can see, overall, whoops, that's nice. Overall, you can see that our lighting doesn't need any kind of a gel. There's a little clownfish. And if you touch areas of the screen on your phone, you can increase brightness or decrease brightness just by where you touch. It's going to keep adjusting for the amount of light in the image. You understand what I'm doing there? I'm just touching it, and you can see the little orange thing appear. Now, if I touch and hold a certain spot, it's going to lock it. And that's why it says autofocus lock at the top of the screen. Now, the lighting will not change at all, no matter what I do at this point forward. And then there's a little sun on the side of the box, and you can drag it down and darken your image, or you can drag it up and you can lighten the image. You can actually force it to stay a certain brightness. So being able to do this can really help immensely in trying to get a good shot. And then, of course, you would just hit the button and take your picture. You also have the ability to zoom in on your subject. And I just use the 2 times. That's 1 times, 2 times. Or you can zoom in as much as you want manually by just dragging your fingers across. All right. Now that we've taken, I want to take a few other pictures, though. I want to kind of give you an overall feel. We'll go back to normal zoom, and we're going to back up a little bit here. I need something that's really blown out, because that would really help a lot. Let's adjust the brightness here. Okay. I want to find a spot. Okay, here, we'll do that. Okay, now, you see it looks... Now, I'm going to lock it on this dark cave intentionally to make the anemone look blown out. It looks horrible, right? And this is the kind of picture sometimes people share. Like, hey, look, my anemone, it's huge today. And I'm like, what is that? And yes, I am kind of a snob when it comes to photography. I've been called that before. And in a way, I feel guilty, but at the same time, I feel like we should always raise our standards to something better than what it is. And so I always feel there's room for improvement. And I've had people that I would say, oh man, that's a beautiful picture. And they would say to me, let me switch this for a second. They would say to me, wow, Mark, thanks a lot. That was really, that was a huge compliment coming from you. And I would just say, well, it is. It's a great picture. And they said, well, in the past, you were really hard on me about some pictures I posted. And of course, I didn't remember that at all. And I felt really bad. I actually felt like immediately apologizing. And they said, no, don't apologize because you were hard on me, it made me try harder, and my pictures are so much better now. And so, wow, that was kind of a... I did not expect that to come out of the situation. So anytime we can improve a skill set, and then later on you get a compliment from someone that mentors you or that you kind of follow closely, it always feels great. And so I always am trying to improve my pictures. The only thing that's holding me back on making even better pictures or taking better pictures with my Nikon is spending $2,000 to $3,000 on better gear. I have literally maxed out what my camera can do. I want so much better than what I'm getting, and yet I'm not going to spend that kind of money because the iPhone takes such great pictures. All right, back to the demo. All right, so I wanted to show you the difference in... Okay, so I'm going to touch the cave on my screen. I'll get a little closer. And you can see how the enemy blew out. But then if I touch the anemone, I've adjusted the lighting down. If I focus on this subject right here, which is this dead skeleton piece that's just laying here for no good reason, it will, the lighting looks pretty much uniform overall. There's no bad or good. And that's the type of situation we're looking at. Now, let's swing over to the 20K side of the tank. And in this case here, we've got something that's really purple, and the picture probably won't look that great. So let's try sliding a gel in front of it. And all I'm going to do is just put it right in front of the lens. And see, now we've got more of that purple look that this Milka coral actually is. But it did rob some of the other colors we're used to seeing. Also, another important rule is have your glass clean. I've got a splotch right here on the glass that you may or may not... Yeah, you can see it right there. That didn't come off with the cleaning magnet. I got to go in there with a razor blade. But you see, some of these corals look pretty nice, but there's a lot of blue hues. So by finding a filter that sucks out some of the blue, that coral can look so much better, right? Get your finger out of the shot. You can stabilize your phone against the glass, kind of hold it at an angle. Now, at an angle, you're shooting through, in my case, I'm shooting through 3/4 inch glass, so it might affect the focus point. But ideally, you want to, well, we got to stay vertical. You always want to shoot straight whenever you can. And when you do that, you tend to get a very focused subject. And then over here, I got all these splotches on my glass. It's horrible down here. This is a really bad spot. But here's a really pretty Echinata. Sorry. Too many fingers on the phone. Very nice Echinata. No filter. Gel filter. So you would decide which color you like better for your coral. And once you've got it nice and stable and you're not shaking your hands around like crazy, take your shot. We'll do it again without the filter. And we'll zoom out again. Here's zooming in. Let me back up a little bit here. So we can zoom in or out to find that sweet spot. And of course, you're going to have very still hands or use a tripod, which you can. There's actually mounts for smartphones to put them on a tripod to get a really nice stable shot. So you can see the difference using a gel versus taking one away, and if it helps the picture or if it hurts the picture. And you would have to decide what you want to do with the gel. And then, of course, make sure that there's no light bleeding in on the side of your phone. So let me switch cameras one more time to a different one. All right, so here is my phone. Sorry, got to get you in the frame. And here's the gel. And you can just put it behind it like this, so it's just covering the lens. But see, like on the iPhone, the camera sticks out a little bit. So the gel will stick out a little bit and actually let some light bleed in. So you have to make sure it's on there flat. And one of my tricks I like to do is take a rubber band, put it around my phone, make sure it doesn't hit any of the buttons. And that's usually just enough tension to keep the gel where I want it. So now I can do all my photography and it just stays in place. And if it's not quite right, I can quickly adjust it slightly. But I can keep my hands free to work on the phone and do what I'm trying to do. All right, let me jump back to the chat because I've been looking at myself the whole time. Sorry. Okay. Yes, I'm glad so many of you are saying that you hate vertical videos because it's really awful. Now, Mike B is saying here that it's similar to what online e-tailers are doing with their corals. They use an extreme amount of blue or actinic lighting, but then they use a filter to pull it out. There's also a way of pulling out the blue in post-processing, like with Lightroom or with Photoshop. Let me jump back here for a second. Get you back on the screen. So now here you can kind of see a better angle. I'm trying to stop the reflection from the aquarium on the phone, but you can see how I've got the gel just held in place with a rubber band, and I can just slide it up and down as needed, just to cover that lens. Super easy. Doesn't affect what I'm doing here at all. All right, now we've taken a few pictures. Now the next step that I want you to see is how we edit the pictures directly in the phone, and this is going to be iPhone specific. So we find our picture. I don't like that one. This one looks pretty decent, but it's a little bit washed out. So what we do, at the bottom of the screen it says Edit. And yeah, I want to make sure I had the right thing on the screen for you guys. Now the first thing you can do is you can crop your image. And a lot of times, depending on what you've taken a picture of, it will try to pivot it for you automatically, or you can drag it sideways as needed just by moving this little pointer. And let's say you had it this and you didn't like it, hit reset, it goes right back to normal. Did you see that reset at the bottom of the screen? It's blue, I'm touching it, and now it's back to normal. So crop, you can just pull down the box, and now we have a pretty decent looking section. And now here's the important one that I use all the time for all of my pictures that I share online. I touch this little thing right down here, this little wheel that looks like a clock. See at the very bottom? Okay, so you got cancel, you got crop, you got these filters I never ever use, and then you got the next one over, which is a little clock looking thing. I touch that. I touch light to unfold it, and then I like to adjust contrast. And adding contrast brings it into a more vivid look. I'm not changing saturation, I'm not changing color, I'm literally adding contrast. Here it is originally, here it is with contrast. We can take out all the contrast and it's just a washed out hideous looking coral. We can add tons and it's kind of stupid looking, which I wouldn't recommend. I always add just a little bit, like 2 ticks over, that's how much contrast I add. Another one you could add instead is you could increase the black point, which kind of darkens the shadows big time. And then you hit done. And you've got this great picture on your phone ready to share. And you can just hit this, and you're ready to share it to Facebook, or you can share it to Instagram or Twitter or whatever you want to do. Super easy to do. Now, let's take a different picture. Here was one. This one we used the gel. Yes, we did. And again, we have too much it's a good picture. It's not a bad picture. But all that purple coralline in the front, I really don't care about. So I'd rather crop it off so that you see the actual polyp I care about. So I crop up. And then again, I hit the clock-looking thing. I wish I knew what that... obviously it's an editor, but I don't know what they call that thing. And then I adjust, we'll adjust contrast again. And that's the difference between what it was automatically and then just enhancing it slightly, and I hit done. Now, whenever you've edited a picture, the nice thing that you can do in the iPhone, and probably with other smartphones, is you hit edit, and you can revert what it was originally automatically. So you didn't lose your picture. It will always be in there. The data is always in your phone, and you can re-edit it as many times as you want. So we'll go here, and we'll do black point instead. Now, if you say, well, Mark, I want it to be more vivid, you can mess with the color, but I never do because I'm trying to be true to what the coral is. But if we add this, all of a sudden I can sell that for $1,000, right? I'm kidding. I would never, ever do that. But that's how I edit my pictures. And it's, like I said, it's very simple to do. Just add a little bit of the contrast or a little bit of black point. And that usually suffices. And then edit here to crop it up. And you can crop it all the way down. You can get rid of all this stuff if you want. You could bring it down and say, okay, I just want to show this one polyp. And you hit done, and you've got this really pretty picture. All right, let me see what you guys are saying in chat. Yeah, I know, the glass is filthy. Okay, so if you want to edit your pictures from your phone on your computer, like with Photoshop, or even if you found an app, there is a Photoshop Express for the iPhone. There's probably a Photoshop Express for Android. I don't know because I've never run an Android phone. But if you have those pieces of software, you can edit. There's an app that's made for the, let's see, what is it called? Aquarium photo camera, it's called. And I'm turning it on. I turned it on a while back, but apparently I turned it off. All right, let me give it permission to everything. All right. Let's see if it'll work now. Okay. I'm going to switch this so you guys can see. So this is that aquarium photo app, and of course I would turn my phone sideways, but you can tell I turned it sideways, but you can't actually see it change on your screen, unfortunately. It shows everything in vertical in this software. Sorry about that. But with this, you can adjust your blue hue by just dragging the slider across the bottom of the screen, hopefully to suck out some of the blue so it's not so hideous, is the idea. It's built right into the app, so you don't have to deal with post-processing. You don't have to worry about putting a gel filter in front of your lens like I was doing here. So that is an app that exists for the iPhone, and for all I know, it's out for Android as well. I would just encourage you to find something that you're comfortable with and actually use it. And don't skimp. You know, don't just say, it's good enough. Another reason I want you guys to have your iPhones handy, your smartphones handy, is because when things are going wrong with your tank, you should film it. And whenever you film it in horizontal mode. Film in horizontal. A matter of fact, okay, so there was a video that was shared of the SpaceX, the 2 rocket boosters coming back down for a landing. Actually, there was several videos. I watched 2 of them back to back. So these rocket boosters are coming back to Earth, side by side. And because the guy was shooting in vertical, he could only show one, and then he moved the camera over to show you the second one, and then he went back, and he kept going back and forth as he's coming down to Earth until they finally got near each other, and he could show both at once. If he had just turned his phone sideways, he could have filmed both of them coming down, igniting their rockets, and then slowing down like that old video game from the 80s, Lunar Lander. It was really neat, right? But vertical video ruined that moment. And, you know, it kills me. So always shoot horizontal. I know it's so tempting to shoot vertical. You think your screen is longer, you can see more, but it's terrible for sharing, unless you're sharing directly to another mobile device. Mike asked, did I mention what gel colors these are? I found some on Amazon, believe it or not, big, huge sheets. You'd have to cut it up. These kits just have like a bunch of different colors. And what I'll end up doing is I will go ahead and I'll see what I can do about putting some together. Or, like I said, you can get a hold of Mark Short on Facebook. And he can, you know what? I might have the link. Because I save everything. Let's see. I'm going to give this guy some business. Let's see if my computer will cooperate. Photography. Gel filters. Wish I hadn't done that. Copy. All right, now let me hit back because I just backed away from all of you guys and I can't see anything. All right, now that we're back, I am going to put this in the comments area for you guys. If it'll finish loading, if I haven't totally killed the stream. Should have opened a new tab. All right. So there, you can go buy some right now. And I'll paste that into the video description later when this thing publishes. Now, do you guys have any questions that I can answer? I think I've covered the things that I wanted to get into. Should I do one more demonstration manhandling the phone on my... the aquarium app was called... It'd be nice if it said, huh? It just says aquarium ... on my phone. Let's see. That's not it. You know what? I can look at this. It'll probably give me the name of it. Aquarium camera is the name of it. Page not found? I literally used it. Wow, that's crazy. Oh, it abbreviated the end of it. All right, anyway, after this video is published, I'll stick it in the video description and you can click on it. And that way you guys can just buy something today and you'll get it in a few days. But the app for the iPhone is called Aquarium Camera. So that is a method that you can use as well if you don't want to change it. Okay, let's talk about that. Google really sucks. I cannot believe that's your username. That cracks me up. You're literally on Google right now. YouTube is owned by Google and you're saying that they suck. But you said my pictures look clear, but yours look really grainy. One of the things you want to avoid doing, you don't want to zoom all the way in and take a picture. Instead, zoom in a little bit, because the more you zoom in, you're going from what I would call a double. What is the terminology I'm looking for? There's a mechanical zoom and then there's a digital zoom. And mechanical zoom, you can go in, like go to 2x, for example, like on my phone, and it'll just double in, but it's not really converting it digitally. But then when you crank it all the way up to like 10, like you're trying to show one tentacle of an enemy, it may look really grainy. And that's also the case with DSLR cameras. We try never to over zoom. We want to fill the subject by moving the camera closer to the subject and fill the screen with that one item. And then you want to take your shot, and then in post-processing, you would crop out the extra. Like you saw me do with that lobophilia, I just trimmed out that little bit of garbage in the bottom. I didn't try to fill the screen and take the shot. And because there's a lot of data, every picture you take, at least on smartphones made in the last 12 to 18 months, are going to be like 12 megapixel. Some might be 18 megapixels. You know, they hold a lot of data. You can have 5-6 megs in a picture, or even higher. It could be 8 megs. And in the old days of simple cameras, you know, a JPEG picture was around 300,000 bytes, you know, which was a third of a meg. And now you've got 8 megs to play with. So thank you, optical versus digital zoom. And we want to just zoom in just enough to get our subject, but we don't want to zoom in so tight that it becomes grainy. We want to avoid that. All right, now I am going to switch this camera lens to the front of my tank again. And I'm going to try to get, maybe I'll get lucky here and this will work. All right, so I want to show you exactly how I'm taking a picture of this anemone. So we'll open up the camera. Again, I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to turn my camera sideways, but it's going to look vertical on your screen. So it's going to turn everything sideways, and that's horrible. But here, and we're going to switch. Yeah, you've got it right here. So now that we've got the camera, oh, that works out. When you're not looking at the screen grab, you can actually see the anemones in the right orientation. That's nice. I can take my single shot just because everything's perfect in this shot because it's 10K lighting. If you can switch your LED lights to 10K or 10,000 Kelvin, you're going to have an ideal shot almost every single time you're going to take the picture. You don't have to do anything special. But let's say it was a little too dim and you wanted it to be a little brighter. You can lock the screen, bring the slider up to increase the brightness a little bit, and take your picture. Or you can reduce the brightness because it's too bright, and now you can see the tentacles. I'm trying to show the purple tips of the sea bay anemone, and so I can just do that. I recommend the AEAF lock, which is auto exposure, autofocus lock. It's a very important step to use on a regular basis. Now, if you're trying to get something that you would consider it's sort of like a macro shot, you got to have clean glass. And well, I'm a little bit outside of my frame here, but down in this lower section of my tank, the glass is just too dirty to get that shot. But we can go over here, and we can get this chalice. And there was the copper band in the background for a second there. I'm going to move you guys over a little bit more so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Does that work? All right. And so here's the chalice. I've pretty much filled my frame. This side of the chalice is dead where the tentacles of the anemone constantly murders the chalice. So in the case of taking this picture, I'm probably going to wait for something nice to happen. Like I've got the anthias right there in the shot. Swims in. It's kind of hiding. Yellow tank's kind of hiding. And maybe I'll get lucky and get a nice picture with the Anthias in the shot. Maybe not. And then, of course, you could zoom in if you're trying to show those beautiful polyps. Adjust your lighting. Just touch a spot on there. Make sure it looks right to you. And then take your picture. When you've got a big acro like this one here, you have to decide what you're trying to show. If you have particulates blowing around in the water, those particulates are going to show up in the picture. I seem to have these white flakes blowing through my tank all the time lately. And I think the fish are kicking up stuff off the sand bed. But I want to adjust my lighting for what looks ideal. So like when I touch down here in this darker area, all the tips turn very bright and it doesn't look good. Let me move this a little closer. I'm going to try something here in just a second. Try to pivot this and turn you. Okay, let's get you about as close as I can to what's happening. So I don't like that these are all blown out. I prefer that the tips look nice and clean. And so I don't mind that this is darker and more shaded. And then that shot right there, I can live with that, and I would just take it. And then we are in edit mode. At the top of my screen, because now I'm in horizontal mode, like I was trying to tell you before, hit edit. You've got your tools on the left side of the screen. I don't need to crop anything. Hey, look, my pajama cardinal's in the shot. That's cute. We adjust the lighting. So we're going to increase black point. I want to kind of increase the shade. See the difference? It's pale versus getting darker and darker and very, very dark and kind of striking. It's a little bit over the top. Like I said, I just go about 2 points. And then I would hit done. Now, this picture here was taken under a mixture of 10K and 20K lighting. Now let's see if we can slide over a little bit more to a 20K mode, because that's what you guys deal with most of the time. So we are going to switch this again. Sorry, give me a second here. Camera mode. I'm not gonna lie. I think this actually looks pretty darn good just the way it is right now. And tilt this down a little bit. If this camera was closer to that one, this would look really pretty to you right now. But we'll just zoom in. That gives you a kind of perspective. Now, another trick when you're taking pictures with your phone and you're trying to capture something beautiful like this, you know, we've got a Montipora with all the little polyps. And here, I'll make this really big so you can kind of see that on your screen. All these polyps are moving like crazy. And I don't know if the stream can pick that up or it's just too much fine detail, but these polyps are moving too much for a nice picture. So if you stop the flow in your tank, all these polyps will relax and they'll just be wide open, and you won't have any particulates blowing through the shot that ruins the image either. So we would want to just turn off the return pump, or turn off the return pump, yes. Maybe turn off the other pumps you have in your tank that are creating flow in the system, and then go ahead and take your picture and you'll have a nice shot. Okay. And then as we get further and further into the blue spectrum over here, you'll just see it gets harder and harder to take a picture in that environment. And that's when you're absolutely going to need to use a gel behind the lens to kind of fix it. And you got to find the right gel that has the right color that you can live with, that doesn't look hideous. That one's actually pretty good. Scoot you over a little bit here. Adjust you. There's a lot of juggling here today for you people. You see this coral here, this green one, that's a piece of my limer. Looks pretty good. And then this one here is actually kind of true to the eye. It's a little bit not quite as red as this, but that's the gel adding the color. But without it, I mean, it's just a stick of garbage. It doesn't look like anything. I would never share this picture with you because it just looks horrible. Try a different gel. Okay. We'll try this one. This is a really dark one. Huh. That's also kind of good. And another funny thing I want to tell you. When you're using gels like this and you look at it, you're like, oh my God, it doesn't look like that at all. There's a weird effect. All right, let me come back to my screen. I have all this stuff in the way. Hang on. When you're taking pictures with any kind of camera, and you got a lot of blue light hitting you in the face, and even as you're adjusting with gels and you're trying to fix it on your phone and you're taking the picture, you're like, it doesn't look like what my eye sees. Wait until you walk away from your tank and then review the pictures under normal lighting, and you might be pleasantly surprised with the look of your images. You know the video I shared on my channel about Joe Waiulio's 20,000 gallon tank? That huge, massive reef that's, 14 feet front to back, and I forget what it was, 65 feet long? Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. Point is, I shot all that on the iPhone, and at the time I was like, oh, I'm not doing it justice. It's just not good enough. Until I sat down in the editor and looked, I was like, oh my goodness, it actually looks pretty good. And it was because I got away from all the blue light that was throwing off my visual acuity, basically. And I was really happily surprised with the end results. So when you're shooting, even if it doesn't feel right at the moment, it may not be ideal, it may not be perfect, you might discover when you walk away and just look at your phone in an isolated area away from the aquarium that the pictures actually look pretty decent. All right. Is there anything to tell you about videography that might help you? Because I shoot all my stuff in videos, right? Matter of fact, we'll switch to this screen really quick. So here's the video camera, and you've got slow motion, and you've got time-lapse, of course, which can be super handy and a lot of fun. You can show a coral eating something with time-lapse, or you can go to slow motion and show your fish swimming very slowly, which is kind of funny. Or you can shoot in video mode. Remember, always shoot in horizontal mode. Don't shoot vertical. I'm going to keep saying that over and over because you're looking at vertical on the screen, and so you might be thinking that's okay. It is not. I cannot change the orientation, as I've said 3 times already. The other thing that I highly recommend when you're shooting with your phone is to use a microphone. I always have a microphone connected to my phone so that you get clean audio and not all the ambient noise in the room. And if you cannot do that, then your other choice is to film everything and then narrate over it in post-processing. And you can edit the video directly on your phone. I guarantee you there's got to be software for the Android people that let them edit their videos right there in their phone before they release them. With the iPhone, we use iMovie, and it's super easy to use. You can cut off the beginning, cut off the end, save the middle section. You can narrate over it and create a nice soundtrack. You can add music. Be aware that if you use music that's not royalty-free, copyrighted, that you could run into trouble. So make sure that you use music that you're allowed to use. There was a video I tried to share from my phone using the music built into iMovie, and Facebook wouldn't let me upload it. It kept saying, no, you can't use that music. I'm like, oh, it comes with the software. I literally bought the phone. I bought the software. I should be allowed to use that one of 8 songs. But it's important that you use music that is allowed and not stolen, is the point. All right. Joe says he uses telescope filters on his phone because you're cheap. That could work. You can also add lenses to the front of your phone. I bought some from a company called, I want to say Zoom. Moments. The company's called Moments. They make this little metal bracket that you glue to the front of your phone, and then you can screw the different lenses on. And they have a macro lens, which I hate. I think it's a piece of garbage. Waste of money. They've got a fisheye lens, which I love and I use occasionally. You've seen it on this channel a couple times. And then they have a wide lens that, it's wider. Usually I don't like wide lens. And even now in this shot, as I'm talking with you, you see all this stuff in the background, and I prefer to fill the frame so that way you can't see all those things going on in the background. I want to keep the focus on the subject. And the same thing with photography. I'm trying to fill my screen with the subject and avoid all the nuisance and all the little things that distract you in the background. So I would recommend that you avoid that. Oh, here's a good point that I didn't mention. Clean out the front of your camera. You've got your greasy hands. You've been holding your phone all day. It's been against your head. It's been in your pocket. It's been on the table. You've been cooking. You've been working on your car. Make sure that the lens is clean too. And if you'll do that, you'll be happily surprised. I filmed some stuff last night that was happening in my aquarium after dark. I'm going to stick it on YouTube. It's a nothing video. It's super crazy short, but it was interesting. And I had the exact situation. I had to clean the glass of the tank because it was doing some weird stuff with reflections. And I had to clean the lens on the front of my phone as well because it was creating some like starbursts from the flash. Alrighty. I am going to wrap this up. We're right at 3 o'clock, and that's pretty much into the 43 minutes. I want to mention that next Saturday is the DFW Mass Frag Swap. I'll stick that on the screen really quick. So if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we have a frag swap. We have about 2 a year. And so this one is happening next Saturday. I will be there, of course. If you want to come and get some frags, that's the place to be. I just posted about a coral that I bought at a frag swap many years ago that everyone loves in my reef to this day. And the frag swap is a place to get stuff affordably. And you literally go home with your brand new frag, you dip it in something to kill the parasites, and you put it in your tank. And I mean, that's just like going to the fish store, right? You go to the fish store and you buy a frag, but you might come home with 5 or 6 frags, and you are buying them from other hobbyists that have been growing them that have gotten too much of something in their tank. Like me, I'll be bringing a bunch of fungias because I have way too many fungias in my tank again. I probably have at least 20, and I'd like to come home with none because I still have some in my reef anyway. Also, on March 3rd is Reef Works, and I am the featured speaker at this event. It's in Seattle, Washington. So if you're there or in that general area, please come to Reef Works. It's going to be a big trade show, which means there's going to be a lot of vendors, a lot of coral vendors. Fritz is actually sponsoring running this thing. And so they're going to be there showcasing their salt and everything about their company. And you're going to have all kinds of coral vendors there. So if you can't go to a frag swap, come to Reef Works. That expo is going to be pretty big, and it's all day long. And then in about 3 weeks, I'm going to be in Indianapolis for another club event. I believe it's another frag swap. So I'm bouncing around, local, and then Seattle, and then Indianapolis. So that's all coming up in the next 30 days or less. So I look forward to meeting you guys. If you're out and about, feel free to come by and say hi. Tell me your username on YouTube, and that way I can put the face to the username. And other than that, guys, make sure that you test your water today. I'm going to test my water as soon as I end the stream. I did not do it last week. I just never got around to it. Just so dumb. Test your water every week. That's one of the reasons they tell you to do it is so I'm telling myself to do it. And I really want to be better about that, and I find that I'm just not being as consistent as I should be. I mean, my tank's doing fine. Matter of fact, you've been seeing some pictures of it. Here, I'll switch this one really quick. It's so white. Let's see if that'll help a little bit. You've been seeing some of my tank here in the stream today, and over the last since the big reset in September, we've seen a lot of new growth. You can see all the tips coming off the acro. But you can also see this anemone has decided to move back about 8 inches and is stinging my SPS corals, which is making me angry. And I just want to shove this anemone forward again where it belongs. So, yeah, it's murdering some tips right there. And I'm on the fence. Maybe I should just let it murder those tips, and that way it's a pokey, sticky, irritating thing that keeps the anemone where it belongs. But at the same time, I got to watch all those months of growth just get eroded away by anemone tentacles, and it's really aggravating. So I'm not happy about that. I'm also discovering that the corals that were doing just fine in my tank are starting to sting each other because they're out of room again. It's amazing how you do a reset and you think everything's going to be perfect, and then you turn around and you have this big scrolling coral and you got this lobo right next to it, and the lobo just starts eating your scroll coral. Or you got a Monty that's doing great, and then something touches it. I mean, everyone's touching each other, and they're all fighting again. Just watching my copper band. It's been eating lobophilia lately. Great. I bought bloodworms trying to fatten her up. I mean, it's not like she's starving, but I'm trying to keep her filled up with other food so she'll leave my corals alone. She's really bothering the lobos. I would love to drop her in the anemone tank because the anemone's got a ton of aptasia. Those are anemones too. But there's so many tentacles. I think she would get stung, even though she'd probably eat so many aptasia. It would be great. All right, I'm just killing time here chatting. I'm going to let you guys go. I hope that you guys have a great weekend. Test your water, post your results on Instagram. If you don't have the Reef Trace app, you should get it. It's been out for iPhone for a couple of months. The Android version comes out next week. I know you've been waiting forever, and that's what I saw, next week. So that's huge. And then you guys will get to jump on board. You can post your results right into the app. You will be part of a community where all the data is being compiled daily to see what the average is among hobbyists. And you can share those results really easily to Instagram or to Facebook or into Messenger or however you want to share it. It's real simple. And you can track your data. But if you're not doing that, and I've seen some people on Instagram, they write down their results on paper, they take a picture and they share that on Instagram. And they do hashtag water testing, hashtag post your results at @MeLovesReef. Thanks for following. If you thought this information was useful, I guess you're supposed to do a thumbs up. And thank you for being subscribers, guys, and I will see you next week. Oh, I'll be at the frag swap. I won't see you next week. So I will see you when I see you. I'll post something in the community tab of YouTube so you can know what's going on and when to expect me next. Bye, guys.